Let's rock, baby.
Devil May Cry, a remake. I think we potentially might get another one. We might not actually cry next week because I did that before. We might have gotten Devil May Cry product last time. We didn't. So, yeah. But next week there is the State of Play. There is the Summer Games Fest that's happening as well. An Xbox event, I believe. So quite a lot of stuff for summer of getting news for new games. So maybe we might get a Devil May Cry remake. I'm not gonna say we're gonna cry. We might. No, I don't. I think we're just gonna cry just in general. So, I mean, it is what it is. But this is just for, I guess, a future reference. This is just like, talking about Devil May Cry remake and what I think will be in the game or what I think should be in the game, and me just talking about it. So, yeah. Now I will say this: this video might not matter actually if they do something. This is a theory I have. I hope they don't do this, because if they do it, I'm not sure how I'm going to structure the next video, because I will do another video for Devil May Cry 2. But if they do a remake, but actually do it in order, so technically they would do 3, but it would be just called Devil May Cry Remake, and it's just 3, but the third game, but first, then they would do 2, which would be the first game as a remake, so this video, and then the third game would be actually the second game. They could just do it in order. That would, I'm not going to lie, I would be a little mad about it. But they could do that, but for the sake of this video, we're going to say that we're not. But either way, there's going to be parts of this video that you can skip around if you want to. There's going to be gameplay first, there's going to be story, then there's going to be characters, and then at the final touch, there's going to be bloopers. So hopefully stick around for the full video, but if you do just want to skip to a certain section, you can. And with that being said, let's begin. Gameplay. Now, how I feel is if they're going to approach the gameplay of this game, I think they're actually going to make it drastically different compared to how the original one it was, only because the first game was very short. The only reason where it could have been long for a player is if they did not know where they were going, and that's kind of how it is for every person that plays the game originally. They don't tell you where to go, you have to figure it out, because Devil May Cry is originally a branch from Resident Evil, so you kind of had to figure out what you were had to go, basically. So it could take you 30 minutes or so, or 20 minutes, but reality of the situation, most minutes you can finish in 3 or 4 minutes if you know where you're going. 3 or 4 minutes, maybe even 2, and it was very, very easy to do so. Very, very easy. The only thing that I think they would keep from the original actually would probably be the function of the keys, the key system. I think they'll keep that, you have to get a certain collectible and bring it somewhere else, kind of like how Devil May Cry 4 and 5 were, basically, and 3, where you have to get a certain item and then put it in a certain location and then you keep going. I don't think the game will handhold you, it's just like the first one, but I think they'll make it a bit easier to understand where you need to go so you don't really get lost. Now, some people might not like that, but I think to get newer players in, they're probably going to do that. Another thing that I think they're going to do is, more than likely, they're going to make Malayat Island a bit bigger. So there's going to be new rooms that we've never seen before, only to make the game bigger, because overall, like I said, you could finish the game really fast. Missions, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, fast, immediately. So they're going to have to make some fights where you have to fight this enemy here, because if not, you'll just run past them. You don't have to fight them, there's no point, you just keep going about your day, because that's what the first one originally was. So there's going to be mandatory fights where you have to fight this enemy, which I think is a very good thing, because most fights you could just run past, like I said, so this will make you have to fight them, and they're going to probably more than likely buff every enemy from the first game to have them maybe a bit more moves or just a bit more faster, because most enemies were cannon fodder. You can one-shot them with a grenade launcher or a shotgun, or just stun them to death, basically. So this is going to make them more interesting, because not every enemy kind of got the same love as every other enemy. For an example, there's one particular demon that I can think of that did not get the same amount of love compared to everybody else, which is like a spider enemy, like in the courtyard. It's like a giant rock spider, like Phantom somewhat, but not lava. And you only see it 2 times in the game, honestly, like 2 or maybe 3 times. I just really can't remember. It's like between 2 or 3. And you don't notice it, like it kind of disappears out of nowhere. It's like, oh, it's like a rock monster thing. Okay, cool. You beat it up, like there's like 2 of them or 3. Then the door opens and you just leave. There's no like cutscene or anything like that. It just shows up, kill it, that's it. And then I don't think for the second time you see, you even have to fight it. You can just run past it. So I feel as if it would be a more fitting thing, for example, for that demon, is if you say, for instance, you're in like the same area basically, but there's multiple statues, and then that statue happens to be real into a spider, and it's like attacks Dante in like a cutscene where he jumps back. It's like, oh, you know, he cracks a little joke or whatever, and then he fights them. Something like that would be cool. Then you would see them a bit more in the game, because I feel as if for that enemy in particular, it was kind of just there, for an example. So a bit more love to that, and by doing that you can have more fights that you have to fight the enemy a lot of the time instead of just running away from them. I'm not saying every fight per se, like if you're just running in the street or whatever, you don't have to do it, or like a room corridor, you don't have to do it, but there needs to be more fights where you have to do it to actually understand what the moveset for the enemy is, because I don't even remember the moveset, and I just played the game again, so I'm like, what? I don't even remember it. Like off rip, I don't. Like maybe like a rock shot or something. But that just goes to show you that this enemy wasn't memorable because they didn't want to make them memorable. So hopefully they can do that with this remake. And also just maybe add 1 or 2 other demons. It doesn't have to be like 5 or 6 or something like that. Maybe just like 1 or 2. Just to spice things up with that so we can have more stuff to deal with in fights. Now talking about the lead protagonist of the game, Dante, and his gameplay. What do I think they're going to do with his gameplay? There's only one true way they can go about it. They can go a different way, but we're going to talk about the easy way, basically. Give him Sword Master, give him Royal Guard, Gunslinger, Trickster, all that stuff, and then he's pretty much fine. However, it's going to be a bit different because the weapons he has in this game are very limited. Very, very limited. Like, he does have the Force Edge, which is basically Rebellion, pretty much, but not really, because you don't really use it often, so they're going to have to make something with that weapon. I'm not sure what they're going to do for it, because there was no point of using it, because once you got Alistair, you never use Force Edge ever again, because it didn't even have like a skill set. They're probably just going to give Alistair just the Rebellion moveset, but I feel as if for the circle attacks, they're going to be a bit different and be more speed and fast based, judging by how like the description of Alistair is. So it's more like an electric speed weapon. It does have a lot of aerial moves, like for instance Air Raid and Vortex, so I wonder how they're going to manage that for gameplay. But I think it'll be similar to Rebellion, but a little bit different. So maybe that's how they're going to make Force Edge the Rebellion for the game, essentially. And then for Alistair, it's going to be like a fast, like Rebellion, if you will. That's probably what they're going to do with that. And they could give, actually, Dante a default Devil Trigger for Force Edge, basically like his regular one. And then for Alistair, he'll get like the electric ones that looks different. Ifrit should be different too, because that's like the cool part about the game, is that the Devil Triggers look different. So they should keep that as well. So I think they're going to go for that more than likely. Now, speaking of Ifrit was definitely going to play like, you know, the stuff you love, like Gilgamesh, Beowulf. It'll just be fire related. Now they might do a little bit of elemental damage with certain enemies, like for example the frost enemies should probably take a bit more damage to it. It's going to be a bit of a slow weapon, but that makes sense because Alistair's a fast weapon. Force Edge will be like a medium speed weapon, then Ifrit, heavy hitting weapon. So that's probably what they're going to do for Ifrit, and there's not really much I can say. It'll probably just have like the default relative moveset that, you know, Gilgamesh and Beowulf has, essentially. I don't think it'll be like Borog, because that's its own thing. So it'll probably be between those two and a little bit of its own thing to make it more unique. Talking about Sparta, I feel as if for that weapon, it needs to transform. Dude, there's no point in using Sparta in most games because it pretty much is just Rebellion. Make it transform. They have a cool cutscene of it transforming to multiple different things, and the only person that does that kinda is Trish in 4. So for this game, they can actually highlight that it can like morph into other things a bit and make it really cool, like into a Cypher or whatever. Like, I think this is their chance to do that with him, so why not do it in this game? Now, do I think does Dante have the potential to get other devil arms? Yes, because we have other bosses. We have Phantom and we have Griffin, and we have Nightmare. Imagine them being created into weapons. Phantom, this is going to be a little weird, but I think he should be like a whip weapon, especially because he's like a stinger, because he's like a spider scorpion thing. So he should get a stinger weapon, like Dante should get like a whip of some sort that like is, or a spear or something like that. Anything of that type of sort would fit for Phantom. Griffin, on the other hand, I don't think it should be a melee weapon, but maybe like a new gun to play with. Something with, you know, obviously electricity, because you already have a melee weapon that does electricity, which is Alistair, but why not have one that is a shooting-based one? So they can do that. Now, speaking of guns, obviously he's going to have Ebony and Ivory. He's going to have the Coyote. He's going to have the grenade launcher. And then, you know, the other gun that they could have would be from Griffin or something like that. So they could fit that in. Nightmare could be either or. It could technically be like the Pandora box of weapons, technically, in a sense, because Nightmare does some crazy stuff. And technically, you could get Neo Angel's sword if they wanted to Dante. I don't think they would, but you can technically give that to him for like a cool weapon to also try out as well. But at that time, you do get Sparta, so I don't think that is likely, but I just want to mention that they could do that as well. Now, speaking of bosses, I do want to actually just talk about bosses and items together for a very important reason. And the reason is bosses are weak in the original game. They're just not that strong. Because, for example, all you need to do technically to beat Phantom is to freaking hit him with Helmbreaker until he dies. That's literally it. Or, better yet, why not just hit him with some holy water and he'll be freaking hit with 70% of his health. Items need to be nerfed if they do add them in the game. Like holy water, either don't have it in the game or cut the damage by like 50% or something. Like the damage is ridiculous. Like actually it's insane. I do think items should be in the game, like the devil stars and all that stuff. I think that's fine. The one that makes you not take any damage, I think that's fine too, technically, in a sense. Just nerf the damage, make the bosses have a bigger health pool, and I think that would be an okay situation. Because I'm gonna show you a clip in the background. It's me fighting Neo Angel in the final fight. I hit him like a few times. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna holy water him to death. I hit him with 2 holy waters, I think, and he died, pretty much. So they need to change that. Like, no, they need to change that. Holy water's way too strong. Let's do something about that, and I think it'll be fine. But overall, for when it comes to bosses besides items, just give them more some like iconic moves. I think fighting them repeatedly, I think that's fine, because it kind of makes you like a rival fight with them in a sense. And, you know, if you want to make him a potentially into weapon, you can, like I said before. But there's multiple ways they can go about that, honestly. If they want to or not, some can be or some cannot. They can even add another one if they wanted to, and just make the missions a bit longer with that. So, multiple things they could do with that, but legitimately, the most important thing is to make them stronger. Items can be in the game, either just nerf the holy water one specifically, and maybe even like the untouchable one too, like just make the timer a little bit lower, and I think that would be fine. Also, a minor thing I want to talk about too with gameplay is Dante's movement speed. It's obviously going to be a lot faster, so that's why I think the map overall will be a lot more huger, because it'll just be speed blitzing the area, so there's going to be bigger rooms and like more fights you have to do. I feel as if that's what they're going to do, because the movement speed in the first game really slow unless you do double trigger, so they're not going to keep that very much more than likely. So just saying. One more thing for the gameplay section that is really important that we need to talk about is the elephant in the room, and it is the swimming sections, the water combat. I think it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be in the game. The remake, it wasn't really fun in the original, at least in my opinion. I'm like, man, it kind of happened, like it was a cool thing. They use it like maybe like 2 times, they never use it again, so I'd rather they just actually cut that part. I'm not sure how people are going to feel about that. I'd rather they just cut that part and make like a combat section near water or something like that, or in water, because there is a section where Dante is breathing underwater. He just takes damage, so rather than you just take damage in water to give you a bit more pressure in that instance for a fight than underwater combat, because it just wasn't like, for the time it was cool. New Age, I don't think people would really want it, to be honest. So just saying, I'm not sure you guys feel about that, but yeah, I think that should be in there. Now, what other thing they could do instead of what I just said is keep the game how it is and make it like close quarters, and then let everything rock. Like you can skip certain fights, But the reason why I don't think it'll be that way is because the game will be just very fast. Like, you can finish it really fast. Like, if you're an older player, there's probably going to be a little bit of new stuff, but besides that, you can beat the game very fast. And I don't think people want an exact remake. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they want a bit more different stuff, better fights, maybe a bigger map to play with, and I think most people will be fine because the original game is awesome. However, some stuff was cool for the time, but not for the new age, if that makes sense. So that's why I think they won't do that. They're going to keep the key functions, like I said. Underwater, probably not going to be there, and they might allow you to buy certain doors to skip fights, maybe, but I don't think they would, because there was, like, after the first game, I can't remember in the second game if they let you do that, but after the third game and then beyond, you could not do that ever again. So I'm just saying I don't think that'll be the case, more than likely. You might be able to skip certain fights if you're just running to an area and there's enemies there. That makes sense. But if it's like, hey, in a big room, combat, you're gonna have to hold that one. So that's the only reason why I don't think they'll do this. Also, I do want to mention this. They could give Dante another style with, like, maybe a new boss or like something related to Sparta or Trish, because she does give you a power up at the end of the game. So maybe, like, if you, like, after you beat the game, you have that or something like that to play around a bit, or you get something, like I said, from Sparta or something Sparta related, essentially. So there's some ways I can go about it, and it could be exclusive for this game, but that's just something that they could do as well. But that is it for the gameplay section. Story. Now, when it comes to the story, I don't think they'll change too much of anything really when it comes to the game. The only thing that I think they will do is make certain characters interact a bit more. Like Dante and Trish, they don't interact really that much in the game. I want to say, like, maybe the first part of the game, like when you first meet her, then I think after the Griffin fight, then at the end of the game, practically, like maybe 3 or 4 times. So I think she'll show up a bit more, or maybe you'll get separated because of something to make her look a bit more like she's on your side, because at the end of the day, she does betray you. So I think they're going to want to sell that a bit more for this game. So that's the thing that I think they're going to highlight a bit more. And also, I actually think they might make Trish an actual fight in the beginning of the game. Like, you remember when she shoots you and, like, throws a motorcycle at you and stabs you with your own sword? I think she'll probably that'll be a legitimate fight, and there'll be some cutscenes, but this just lets you know how the gameplay is, like the mechanics, so you can understand it a little bit, and then that's it. And then you go to the island for, like, the second mission. I think they might do that potentially, which would be kind of cool, and to, like, understand the gameplay of the game for newer players at least, and then also see what new stuff they potentially added, maybe because maybe they add some other stuff too. So possibility, it'd kind of be cool. But besides that story, Trish is just going to be there more. Like I mentioned in the gameplay section, there's going to be certain cutscenes that are going to be added, probably for more enemies and stuff like that. I don't think the story is going to change too much when it comes to characters. Like, for example, Neo Angel, he should not talk for the game, not at all. Maybe at the final fight with him, maybe he can say something where it's like, was that Virgil? And then, he has, like, Dante has a moment, because he didn't really react to it when he found out that was his brother. He was like, okay. So a reaction from Dante, basically. Maybe a devil might cry or something, something like get him angry, you know what I'm saying? So something like that, I think, could be a cool thing for bosses. Ooh, I could have mentioned this in the gameplay session. I kind of fumbled here. Sorry about that. When it comes to Phantom, I think he will still have the scenes, like, where you first meet him, like the cool iconic scene where you first meet Phantom, and, he's like, I thought you were bigger prey, and that stuff happened to beat him, and then he chases you down the hallway. I think he should still keep that feature. Hopefully they do. I'm hoping they do keep that feature. It might go away, more than likely, but that feature of him just harassing you, or maybe he shows up in a fight where you're just fighting enemies, that would be cool too. Cool idea. But Phantom will still do what he normally does, because he's like just an introduction boss basically, but he's still iconic. So I still think they're going to have him fight Dante, of course. The only thing that I think that might be different for his death, I think he should say something to allude that, like, hey, If I can get my get back, I will, because technically you can fight him again with Nightmare, and also you will see him potentially. No, let's say change that for the second game. You could fight him in the second game, so I think they should allude to that as well. Griffin, pretty much the same. He's loyal to Moonus. He's the most loyal. I think when he does die, he should become a weapon to like get back on Moonus. That would be like a cool thing. Like Dante's mad about it, and then a weapon appears that is made of Griffin, a gun of some sort, and that would be kind of cool. Like I said, they could add a potentially new boss as well if they wanted to, but I don't think that'll be the case for that, more than likely. But they could. But that would have to make the game even longer. It would be longer missions, probably like 25 or something like that. When it comes down to, or just the mission, some missions might just have to get cut because they're just like, go to this area and it's done. So easy to do as well. Mundus should show up more, because you only hear from Mundus 2 times practically, or 3, which is when he kills Griffin, when he talks to Trish, when he's like, hey Trish, I'm going to kill you because you failed, and then the final fight. So Mundus should show up a bit more. Maybe like taunting Dante or talking trash to Dante of some sort. It doesn't have to be directly, but you just hear him. Something like that to show you like, hey, this is the guy that murdered your mother. So something like that would be pretty cool. And also, I did not mention this in the gameplay section. I'm fumbling hard here. I'm sorry about that. I messed up 2 times. Just give me a break here. Give me a break. I don't do scripts. I know I should do. I'm sorry. But for the Mundus section for the fight, I think when it comes to that, I think they'll keep the first part the same, because like you summoning a dragon is pretty sick. That's like really iconic actually. So I think that should actually stay. Hopefully it does, or they'll incorporate it maybe into a cutscene of some sort. But I hope that it's just a gameplay thing. And for the fight, I think he should either be bigger to make it a bit more cooler of a scale, because fighting him in the lava was kind of whatever. So that fight needs to be just reworked entirely. So that's just a thing that's important. I think Dante should still sail him or whatever. He needs to say the thing that he does to Trish, the iconic, fill your soul with light, that thing. That all needs to stay. It'll sound better, but people will be like, yeah, I like this version more, that type of thing. So I think all those scenes need to still stay the same. Dante needs to interact with Trish, like I said, more. Mundus needs to play a bit bigger part, and that's pretty much all you really need for this game, honestly, to be fine. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the story section, because it's not really that much to talk about here, because I think they're going to keep everything basically the same, except add more scenes with characters to interact with each other, because a lot of the time you're just playing as Dante and you do not interact with any of the key characters at all. Like legitimately, Mundus not until the end of the game, Trish a few times, then she just bounces. What if she's there a bit more, you know what I'm saying? Like you see her fight or whatever, just to pretend like she's helping him, something like that. So that's pretty much it for the story. Next section. So characters. Now I bet you're wondering what characters. What is this section for? Because you kind of talk about it a bit in story. No, this is playable characters. Now, potentially, the first game, technically, we could have up to 4 playable characters. Technically. 4 playable characters. Now, what are these characters? Well, you have Dante, of course. Maybe Trish, but this time she uses, these players, and she uses Sparta, which is an iconic thing, that's fine. And then Neo Angel could technically be playable if you want to make him playable. But the one that's the most interesting, in my opinion, is Sparta, because Sparta is he's not an outfit, he's a separate character in the game when you load up the game. Like after you beat the game, you could choose Sparta as a character, and he uses Yamato, and that's his Alistair. So they could do something insane for the very first time and actually make Sparta like a legitimate playable character. Well, technically he was playable first game, but actually like him actually using him again, technically not no skin, just him. So they could do that, and he'll have his own moveset, and we get to see what he does. That would be cool. He doesn't even have to have that much of stuff. Just using him, I'll find enough, I feel, for most people. So that's just an option. Now, talking about moves just in general for the characters, we're not going to talk about Dante, because I actually talked about it in the gameplay section, which is, he'll have his styles, feed your weapons. Pretty much that's Dante. Trish, We already have pretty much like kind of a kit that she has in 4, but that kit was kind of like, a little bit. It needed a bit more spark, and the reason being is because a lot of her assets were old. They were just they were mainly from Dante. So all they really need to do for Trish is just to give her more moves that are her own, like unique stuff. That's all they really need to do with Trish, and then she'll be completely fine. But the biggest thing that they can do, besides, her having Sparta and stuff like that, and her own guns, I forget what they're called, Umbra and whatever, I think, or that might be Bayonetta, that might be tripping, which is what people thought she was going to do in 5 if they ever made her playable, which we thought was going to happen. Give this girl Alistair and let her have a devil trigger, like actually have her a devil transformation. And then she could do some crazy lightning stuff with Alistair. That is the match-up made in heaven. Like, if they do that, peak. I don't know the exact moveset. I know it's gonna be fast and it's gonna be really cool. That's all they really need to do for Trish. Legitimately, in my opinion, give her Alistair and then have a moveset with that. I don't think anybody would complain. You complaining? See? No complaints. That's all I'm saying. Now, for Neo Angelo, what I think they can do for him if he was a playable character, all they really need to do is this, and I don't think they should just go corrupted Virgil route, like just give him Yamando. No, let's not do that. I think that he should just be just Neo Angel. I think that's be just fine. You don't have to add Virgil fully. We don't need that. What they can do is just use the resources from 3, because it's pretty much a little bit of his moveset, or majority of his moveset from the first game. And obviously in this remake, he's going to have a lot more moves, more than likely. So just incorporate the moves that he already has into a playable format. Because they did the same thing with Virgil from 5, basically. Like, they gave him a bit more from what he had from the boss fight. So that's the same thing pretty much. Just have his own thing. Make him really strong. If he wants to, instead of just him using like the big sword, which I don't even think that sword has a name. Give it a name or something like that too. He can switch between just using his hands, because he uses his hands actually quite frequently. Like in the first time you fight Dante, or you fight him, he beats Dante up with his hands, like just bare hands. Like he's like, forget the sword, boom, 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 smacks Dante up. You can incorporate that as just a weapon, and that would be fine. And that's really all you need. He has summoning swords, he has a sword, he has that. That's it. For Devil Trigger, you don't give him that. Maybe just give him a move instead, because it's been done before with Lady, for example. But just give him multiple moves with the meter, so it's not exactly a Devil Trigger. It's just moves that are just really powerful, because he has some powerful moves in his disposal. He's a boss after all, so just give him some boss moves that he had. That's all you got to do with that. And his circle button would be obviously him teleporting, because he already has that already, just naturally, because that's what he does in the boss thing. So same thing. Now for Sparta, this is gonna be a bit hard, because I kind of don't know what they could do with Sparta. My mind's telling me that his moveset, if they did make him playable, would be that he would actually use his sword and his hand. Like, he would use a mixture of both, because like when they show him, like in like the preview when they're talking about him, he's just slashing, kicking, punch, like he's just doing, he looks like a ninja practically, like what he's doing. So I think he should do something of that type of sort. Projectile, he actually might have a gun and use summoning swords. Actually, he can do both actually, because he's the father of Dante and Virgil, so he might use both, because we don't know what he ever used. So that's actually potential to do that. So I don't see any problem with him using that. Circle button, no clue. Devil Trigger, I think we've seen his Devil Trigger plenty. That's most of the time we've seen him. But for his actual base form, don't go with the slick back hair, because we actually know what he looks like, because we saw actually a portrait of him in 5. He has long hair, so just go with that look for Sparta. I think that's the best thing. Now Dante, same ending. Trish can be a similar ending to Dante pretty much, except, for example, for the last mission, you probably have to escape a bit differently. Like, Dante leaves, catch up to him, and save him in the sewers, basically. Neo Angel, you do the exact same thing. You fight moves, like repeat basically of Dante's campaign, but you get to find out a little bit of how he was created in a way, like what's the thing with him, because it's Virgil's spirit, basically. Like, what happened? Sparta, I want Sparta to have like an ending where we know nothing, in a way. Like, I want there to be something coded, like it is, like, how in Resident Evil 9 there was like this hidden puzzle Easter egg thing. I want there to be something like that for Sparta, where we have to figure out what's going on with him, because I don't think they should outright tell us like if he's alive, if he's dead, because we don't know anything about Sparta technically, of what happened to him. Just a crumb of something is fine. a crumb. That's all they need for him. It can allude to a game. It can allude to maybe this has happened to his fate or this. Just a crumb. It can go anywhere. It's because Sparta is the biggest mystery of Devil May Cry, period. Point blank. That's all they have to do with Sparta. Now, when it comes to the missions for the characters here, I think everybody's going to follow the same format as Dante. The only person that could be different is technically Trish because she's there. So what you could have is like a separate ways thing where she actually does a different mission altogether for her. Like there's just it's separately, like entirely different for her, and she'll have a different missions, and it ends like at like mission, I don't know, like 15 or something like that. They could do something like that, or 10 or whatever, to make her different. But for the most part, I think everybody else will follow the same format of Dante, and it just ends. And there also should be a bloody palace for the game. I don't know why I didn't put that in the gameplay section. I'm gonna strike 3, bro. I'm cooked for that, but there should be a bloody palace thing for the game as well too. I'm not gonna talk about music because I think every character here is gonna have their own theme if they are playable or not, and bosses are going to have their own theme too as well. It's just going to be remixed a bit and just new aged and just revamped essentially. So it'll be cool like how it was before, because they did it before in 5, because you know Griffin's in that game and Nightmare is in Shadow, so same thing will happen basically here too as well. But that is it for the character section. Bloopers! Now this section is going to be me talking about basically the thumbnail for this video, how I commissioned somebody for it. You get to see how it came to be, basically, this thumbnail, and like the story from it, and also the story of how I wanted to make this video, or just had the idea of making this video. So yeah, so we're gonna start off with the artists here, ntnarts. You can find them at VGen. They also have a Blue Sky, I believe, and yeah, they're pretty cool. I talked to them about like making this thumbnail. They didn't like, they heard of Devil May Cry, but they weren't really familiar with it. So basically the idea of the thumbnail came by me thinking about another art that I saw before in the past, which was just Virgil and Dante clashing. I'll have it in the screen in the background, of course, that you can see, but it's just that them clashing and you see the reflection of the water. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I kind of want to do something like that, but for one, basically. And I went to them about it, and they were pretty cool about making the art for me. We worked together pretty much the entire day of yesterday, which would be Friday, working on it. It took like like 5 hours or 4 hours, because I was I was like helping them with them, like, this is kind of what I want, this is what I want. And when we were like ironing out certain things, they actually mentioned like, hey, I have like, they want to talk to me about like the pose, basically. Like, this is kind of, they would kind of be plagiarism, because I wanted to do homage basically to the art originally, the original art. And I'm like, oh, that would be plagiarism. So I'm like, yeah, you could change the pose basically. And we switched, they switched it to something else that looks super sick. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. We can go with that. And we were kind of just getting everything, because I wanted it to be based off of when Dante fights Neo Angelo in the boss room. There's not a specific name for that room, like for any of the rooms really, which is kind of odd to me, because I was looking in the galleries or just the wiki and I couldn't really find the name of that room. So I had to like look up some stuff on that room, play the game over, and just like look at the room a little bit too. So I'm like, man, I was just sending them some stuff for it so they could like get kind of like a look of it basically, but like a different look kind of way, because it's a remake. So that room might be different more than likely. That was kind of like how that came to be relatively. So pretty cool. I definitely think you should check them out. They're easy to work with because they helped me a ton think of ideas for the thumbnail, and like, hey, maybe I should change this, and I'm like, yeah, I could change that. And they were just cool to talk to, like to figure stuff out. So definitely check them out. They're really cheap as well for their work, like money wise, like if you want to get a commission. So I definitely recommend them heavily, because I've gotten the commission them for one of my live stream thumbnails, so I can just customize. So definitely go check them out. Link will be in the description below for them. Now the idea for this video just came to me, I guess, kind of naturally, because I thought about the video that I made where it's like Tomorrow We Might Cry, that video. So I'm like, I like Devil May Cry is my favorite franchise, so like I know a lot about it, so I could just make a video of like what I think a remake could be. So Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm not scripted for my stuff, because you could tell with that, because I forgot to mention some certain sections there, like with Mundus and Phantom, and I should have mentioned in the gameplay sections, and I fumbled with that, and I'm sorry about that. But you know, that sometimes it happens. That I speak from a passionate place, and scripts kind of don't work for me. They do sometimes, but not, because I feel like I'm just reading it, and I don't want that to be the case. I want it to be natural. So yeah, but that also does mean I have to retake a lot of things of the recording, because a lot of times when I mess up my words, I just like, oh, and I just, you know, undo it. So yeah, I will say the process of making this video was a little bit tougher than normal, because I had to do a whole bunch of stuff before I even made this. I'm like, okay, I have to get the footage, and I did that Friday while I was working on the thumbnail. Like, I had to rebeat the game, so I looked at like a speed run of like Waifu something, I can't remember his name. So I was just looking at that just to get through the game fast enough to get the footage as well, just to showcase like how you can speedrun the game as well, and like just the gameplay of it, of course, too. And also, I had to the next day, freaking, oh dear, I have a brain fart here. Oh, I remember. Obviously today, which would be today, go to work, come back from work, help my mom and dad with gardening a little bit, and then now I'm recording. I'm just doing it now, so yeah. But either way, that's pretty much like the process of making this video essentially, and I still have to edit it, so hopefully I get the times right, I don't mess up anything. And my PC, I've been having PC problems, like it overheats when I open certain things on Windows, or just certain things, so I'm like, oh, that's annoying, so I have to reset that. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with this video's time, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, liked it, or like it, subscribe if you want to. And I hope you guys have a great day, a great night, a great noon, or whatever time zone you guys are at, man. And I'll see you guys in the next video.